So how can you benefit most by reading the Bible? The Bible, of course, is filled with information of how you can have a better life, how you're supposed to live, how you can love people more, how you can have more joy, what's going to happen to you in the future. The Bible has so much information about how we can live a good life. So we've done the need for prayer, we've done the need to be consistent in our reading, number 2, and the need to understand the context or what that person is trying to say to us, number 3. So what's number 4? Number 4 is taking what we've read and reflecting on it and then applying it. I can't tell you how many times I've done Bible studies and people feel like they've gotten so much out of it, but they never reflect on what it actually means to them. And then they never apply that lesson in their life. So it's not just enough to pray about reading the Bible and then being consistent about reading the Bible and then even pulling out what the writer's trying to say. If we don't reflect on that and then apply that into our life, then you might as well be reading any other textbook. The Bible isn't meant to be a textbook. The Bible is meant to be a life-changing book that helps us to grow as people, helps us to love others, helps us to be lovable, helps us to have joy and peace. And if we're not reflecting and applying what the Bible's teaching us, then we will never get that. Which takes us to number 5. Join a study group. Sometimes we need people to hold us accountable, to reflect, to apply. And when we read the Bible as a group, we have other people to help hold us accountable, and we get to hold other people accountable. It's so important to do this together. If you notice in both the Old and the New Testament, oftentimes we see people reading the Word together. And it's so important for us to read the Word together. Finding a Bible study group is really important. There are a lot of good Bible study groups. There's probably one in your church. If you don't go to a church, I'm sure that you can find one online. There are Bible study groups everywhere. Back when I was on Long Island, I used to do a Bible study for my church, and yet there were several people who came from other churches to be part of that Bible study. If you don't have a church, or if your church doesn't have a Bible study, if you're not part of a small group that's doing a Bible study, find a Bible study that you can be a part of so that they can hold you accountable. Now, I will give you this one caveat as you find that Bible study. Don't let it just be something that talks about the Bible. That's not a Bible study. What you want is some place where you can go where people will share with you how you need to use that word to change your life and then see how you did with that over the week. There needs to be an accountability in that group for it to be truly a Bible study. Otherwise, it's just a reading group. So you don't want to be part of a reading group. You want to be part of a Bible study that's looking to change lives. And that takes us to number 6, memorizing verses. When we look at a specific Bible chapter and Bible verse, when we see that verse teaching us something about ourselves, teaching us something about God, teaching us about something we need to do or change in our lives, teaching us something about how we can have hope and faith and love, we can memorize that verse. We put that verse into our hearts. So as we go through our life, we remember that verse. When something pops up in our life, we can bring that verse back out into our minds, into our lives, and we can live biblically. And so it's so important for us to memorize verses. There may come a day where you don't have access to a Bible in front of you. But if you have verses memorized in your heart, then when things happen in your life, you can pull those verses out and you can know the right answer. So memorizing verses is a very important way for us to benefit from reading the Word. When you come across a verse that speaks to you, highlight it, underline it, make a note about it, put it in a separate diary so that you have access to that. Then spend time trying to put that into your heart and memorize that. If you're bad at memorizing, believe me, I never thought I could memorize anything. My memory's terrible, but I learned how to memorize the Word of God, and you can too. And if you're not sure how to do that, look online. I promise you, you will find many ways of memorizing things, including memorizing Bible verses. In fact, I might just create a video on how to do that. But for now, take the time to memorize Bible verses. In fact, if you think that I should do a video on how to memorize Bible verses, if you could just put in the comments that you think that's a good idea, so that way I know this is something that you're looking for.